Welcome to Forbes debate as a side activity of EIT Health Summit 2018 in Łódź, Poland. Our panelists are Balázs Furjes, Managing Director of EIT Health, InnoStars, Maciej Wieczorek, CEO of Celon Pharma, Professor Lucyna Woźniak, Vice Director for Research and International Relations, Medical University of Łódź, Filipa Fisch, Executive Board Member and Healthcare Director of Glint, and Rainer Schleitmann, CEO of Philips Central and Eastern Europe. It's a pleasure to have you all here. I'll let you explain a little bit about your companies and why we're here in a moment. But before we'll go to that, I would like to start with one thought that I think is exciting both for us here and for our audience. Would you agree that we are seeing a new wave of innovation in, broadly speaking, healthcare systems and healthcare industry? Wave of innovation which will finally make all the bigger and smaller things bound together in a system that will finally produce not only better treatments, until now better treatments usually at higher cost, but also economic leverage that would allow much better economy of services for healthcare providers like states and of course beneficiary for all the patients. Is a change in this innovation coming? The question is, who starts? Madam Professor, maybe you as a leader of the...
I totally agree with you. We at the university feel this and try to prepare to this. Last week, we had a great debate about coordinated care. Coordinated care is an approach that will allow to use all innovative solutions to support healthcare, creating a system that supports not only healthcare providers, but connects healthcare providers with companies working for healthcare industry, but also patients as the end users. Sometimes we talk about this like that. But I think that this is very important because using all innovative approaches, all innovations that come to the market and that we are part of, can simplify the system, can lower the cost, but also, which is just a mission of university, will support patient. For this, I think we use innovative approaches both at education, research, and collaboration with industry level.
If we hear it from you, Vice Rector of one of the largest medical universities in Poland, there must be something in it. I would like to turn to Mr. Schleitmann. You are helping, I mean you, the Philips, is helping a lot of startups to grow. Do you also see this change, this new opportunity coming, among others, from the fact that many medical devices became just consumer devices and now they're slowly getting connected?
Well, I think the first thing is that change is accelerating. You see that many industries have dramatically changed, and I think that change is now coming to healthcare as well. That change is driven by a number of key trends that are just undeniable in the world, but also in Poland. On the one hand, we're getting older. There's a significant rise of chronic diseases, and at the same time, you have an enormous shortage of qualified staff. Now, those pose an enormous challenge and pressure on the healthcare system. Now, if you then think that digitization, on the one hand, and on the other hand also consumer engagement are increasing. That drives this transformation in healthcare, which is moving more from a transactional model to an outcome-based model. Now these challenges are so significant that one single party cannot do that by themselves. So we have a long tradition of working very closely together with government, with academia, with key stakeholders in the market, but also with startups, because you need a lot of new, fresh ideas to address these key challenges in the market. That's why I'm also so happy with EIT Health and InnoStars, is that it brings together a lot of new ideas with companies that have been around for a while, and the combination can really provide a great platform for change.
We don't need to explain what company Philips is, because most of us know it from most of our households. Important to remember it is to know that we also maybe less often see that Philips is also helping to save our lives in hospitals, which is also a very important part of business that Philips doing. Mrs. Fish, your company is probably less headline company than Philips itself. You are global. Glint stands for Global Intelligent Technologies, and you're a consultancy that is in 6 countries, in 10 offices around the world, on at least 3 continents, as far as I remember: Europe, South America, and Africa. With over 1,000 people, and how you embrace the change, because your business is delivering IT technologies for healthcare systems. Yeah. So you are this connection, indeed, or part of the world, the solution to connect all the devices and all those remote computers and servers into one great thinking machine.
Yeah, so I think the main change that we are observing nowadays is that 20 years ago, and Glint is on the market for more than 20 years, we were looking at hospitals, primary care units, so like putting information systems into the healthcare units. Nowadays, we are looking to citizen journey. I don't like to call it patient journey, but citizen journey. And that is where we see that technology, it's a way to promote better healthcare, more equity at controlled costs. We see, and as my colleague was saying, that the population is getting older, we have more and more chronic diseases and more technology. And this is going into exponential way of costs into Europe, and it's not sustainable. So the only way is to look at managing the healthcare part before getting sick, and then use technology when you get sick and you need to be monitored at a distance. So I think the main change is to look at the patient journey and to involve all the stakeholders on this view of managing your health and not managing your disease. So I think this is the promising thing for technology.
So you truly believe that there will be shift from actually helping sick people to really preventing them from,
so I think
preventing us
to getting sick. Yeah. So I think the main issue is that you should manage health and not managing the disease, and this has to be leveraged on technology. And if you see, I'm thinking about Lisbon. 5 years ago, no one was running in Lisbon. Nowadays, everyone gets up from bed and go running and take care of their well-being. And they like to use technology to control the calories, the food, and you should use this consumerization of health and technology in order to promote better healthcare at all levels of society. So, and with this, we'll get happier people and involve all the stakeholders, health professionals, patients, health units, in order to engage and to use. And of course, technology should be friendly to the health professionals and not an obstacle to use it.
You know, I think that the true sense of having smartwatch, which basically measures me, starts when my doctor gets the data and tells me when to visit him based on that, instead of me coming there and asking him, am I still all right? But in that new world, how pharmaceutical companies will find themselves? Mr. Wieczorek, you're CEO of one of best-known Polish pharmaceutical companies. You do a lot of R&D. activities. You have 70 scientists. Every fourth of them is PhD. So you're really strong in that field. So what do you see for your company in that new world?
That's great that we are taking care of the health and prevent from using drugs. But sooner or later, some people need to take drugs. And I think here we can see two types of incorporating innovations. First are new drugs, and we feel that most of the costs come from new biotech, biological drugs. And this is the trend that is even growing, and we can say that within a decade, 70 to 80% of the funds, of the money spent to drugs, are for the new biotech drugs for the treatment of rare diseases. So there is huge potential into new innovations, how to decrease the cost of this drug. And we know using new biotech innovations that we can do that, using new manufacturing processes, using modifications of the proteins, how to make them more potent, and at the end, how to go down with the cost of the new biologicals. And there are lots of companies, even in Poland, that do that. So we can say that within the next decade, there are very good chances that we can go down with the cost of drugs, this type of drugs, even going down 2 to 5 times. So we can treat more patients with much better costs. But also we can incorporate new technologies into how we use the drugs. And I think when you talk with the physicians, with the prescribers, they say, we really don't know whether patients take drugs. We don't know nothing about adherence. And in case of such diseases like asthma or COPD, we know that 80% of ineffectiveness of the drugs is not because the drug doesn't work, but because patients simply don't take them in the proper way. So how to use new technologies, using smartphones, using different e-technologies for the physicians to control the adherence. And this is pretty easy now with the new advances in technologies. We can easily incorporate that with the very cheap way of increasing the health output. And we are doing the same, even in our company. This is more difficult for oral drugs, but for drug deliveries, like inhalation drugs, it's more easy. So there are plenty of opportunities how to use in the small innovations, incorporating different innovative tools into the products that can really increase the health benefits.
Right, and last but not least, the host of this year's conference, Mr. Furiesz, could you tell us a few words not only about the business of healthcare, but also how EIT Health and EIT Health InnoStars in particular is helping startups to grow, who has a chance to become, your partner and get your help, and how does it work, which is also very interesting for all of our viewers and listeners, because that will be the hint where to go, in which direction, if you have a great idea for a service or a product within health industry. So, what's on your radar, how you work?
What we see in Eastern Europe is that a lot of talented people eager to do something, they have innovative ideas, but sometimes the environment is not enough to make them successful. So how we help, maybe they need they have 3 bottlenecks where they need some support. The first one is, usually they are good on the technological idea, but not on the business idea. So first they need an education, they need a mentor, they have to build a business plan, they have to learn how to pitch their ideas. For this, we have boot camps, we have accelerators, we even commit the best accelerators in Europe to duplicate their capacities, like Yes Delft, which is the #2 accelerator in Europe, university-linked accelerator, came to Poland and set up an accelerator program here in Łódź in order to increase the capacity. So that's the first one, to train these startups. The second one, they need a fast response, a validation, whether their ideas are good or not. Because otherwise you can just go along. If you never face a customer, a business partner, a hospital, you will never know whether it works. You have to change your ideas. It will go through several cycles until it is really successful. We provide it because these accelerators have really good connections to all the hospitals and business. We have our business partners. They will look at these companies. They will give direct feedback. And the third one is how you get investors, how you prepare your exit. We run several startup competitions in each phase of the startups. For example, this year we collected 120, 130 startups, but overall in Europe, we review 1,000 startups a year. We train them, we educate them, and then, like this summit, we show them to the public. So in 3 categories, biotech, medtech, and digital health, we announce the winners on this summit. And it's a very good opportunity for the startups. And for example, from Eastern and Southern Europe, we had a finalist in all categories. We had a first prize and second prize and a third prize in those categories. And it is an opportunity for the startups. It is an opportunity because in the audience, we have the VCs, we have the large corporations who came here because they don't have time to respond to cold calls, but they are looking at a pipeline, a quality pipeline, a trade pipeline of EIT Health. And there are a lot of deals that is done during the matchmaking session after that, where companies really embrace, or VCs approach these startups, and then they help them to become successful.
Because EIT stands for European Institute for Innovation and Technology, and health is one of the parts of that institute that is coordinated EU effort to strengthen innovation. And so what you do is, of course, much more than just conferencing like we are today, but there's a lot of work going on year by year in the background. When you do that, I mean, this over 1,000 startups that you review, is there any particular trend now that you're seeing more often than, let's say, in the previous years?
The trend is, and it is in alignment what was said before, is that in the past, and you asked about the efficiency and the health for the society, the economical side, is that we treated the illness. So once somebody became ill and she was treated by a doctor, that's the most expensive way of treating. So instead of this, there are a lot of digital solutions because healthcare is a little bit behind of other industries penetrated by internet, digitalization, sensors, IoT. And if you have these sensors, then you go to the doctor when you need to go. You don't need to stay in the hospital because in home care you will be monitored. You will go to the doctor at the first sign of your illness, and it is dramatically decreasing the cost. So we prefer these startups, and you were also right that if it is collecting data only for the person itself, but is not connected to the healthcare, the doctor does not overview and analyze the data, then it's almost worthless. And the next phase is when the cost curve is even lower. So you go and treat patients with the potential of becoming ill. So all the DNA sequencing, all the big data analysis, you catch the people who are potentially endangered by an illness, or you adjust the adherence, or the pills, the medicament is personalized. Then you lower the cost even more. So I think I agree that it's an exponential curve, and innovation is happening in a faster way than in the past. But the main bottleneck is whether people really change their style, their lifestyle and behavior, and that's the holy grail everybody is looking for in healthcare, and whether governments change and put more emphasis on innovative ways. There should be a procurement process for innovative technologies. There should be more emphasis on prevention and all these new technologies, not only on the old and very costly side of the healthcare.